welcome to Dakota Boys Talk Movies. In this episode, we are going to talk and speculate on a movie that has yet to really even finish filming.
Literally just started.
Yeah, we are going to give some initial first impressions on how we feel about the Todd Phillips directed, Martin Scorsese produced, Joaquin Phoenix starring The Joker. Coming out next year or later in the year, right? Like October?
Yeah, it's...
Basically, it'll come out in like roughly a year
which
from now.
In today's world is hardly anything.
Yeah, pretty short because some movies basically spend 8 months just doing a lot of the principal photography and post-production, let alone marketing, last minute visual effects and marketing and blah, blah, blah.
I remember back in my day, we had to wait 3 years for a Batman-themed related movie.
Yeah.
Now we just got to wait a year.
Jeez. Oh, my goodness.
That's actually no joke, though. I think it was 3 years between all the Batman movies, wasn't it?
Well, it was 3 years between everything back in the day. I mean, 3 years was just the normal, and I don't know if that was started by Star Wars and stuff, because Star Wars was like 3 years.
I think what the studios like to do, though, because that was back then, I think they like to keep movies in theaters a lot longer.
Yeah. Well, there was that. I think now it's more about throw this at him because we're going to throw it at him on digital and on streaming services and blah, blah, blah. And so, yeah, everything's just like a lot faster for good and for bad, which, I think in some cases recently we've been seeing some of the bad of quicker turnarounds. But in any case, this movie is also meant to be kind of I don't know how to put it, like maybe more of a have the feel more of like an independent. It's definitely a lower budget type movie compared to like a Batman v Superman or a Captain America or Avengers type movie. So yeah, and what do you think got Martin Scorsese on board for this? I don't know if I've ever heard him say why he decided to get behind this. Have you heard him say?
You know something? I think it was just the theme. Basically, what it was kind of this. I think it was touted way before he was even brought on board that they kind of wanted to do a Joker movie removed from everything else that we've seen, not related to the Dark Knight trilogy, completely independent of the current DCEU.
Yeah. Which is now how feels like they're going to go with everything. Because who knows what's going to happen now. But yeah, sure.
But supposedly he was interested, and I feel like it's really because what the executives were saying is that they wanted Gotham to be placed. They wanted the setting to be Gotham in the 80s, and I think for Scorsese, New York 70s, 80s was like, oh man, I love this city, even though crime was rampant, just garbage everywhere, hookers every 2 feet.
It just looked gross. So
yeah. New York now is not New York then.
Yeah.
But I think that's the era that gets his blood pumping. I mean, that's basically the era that was his. He stepped onto the stage.
Yeah, that was Mean Streets. That was Taxi Driver. Sure.
You could do movies like that, and it made sense in that world. Like, I could buy this, I could totally buy this in this world.
Yeah. Now, does that worry you as someone who enjoys reading DC comics, that you're like, but I want this to feel... I'm worried that this isn't gonna feel like a Gotham City. It's just gonna feel like New York.
I'm kind of okay with that in a way, because in the old Christopher Reeve Superman movies, Metropolis kind of just felt like New York anyway.
Yeah, they kind of. Yeah, the Christopher Reeve especially was like, it was New York, but it wasn't New York, but it was New York. It was kind of, they just kind of played with it like that. And then you have Smallville that just made it seem like Metropolis was in Kansas because you could get there in a couple hours from Smallville. So
yeah, they were doing their own thing though.
They had their own geography in that thing, but But yeah. So okay, sure.
To be honest with you, though, I am probably one of the few people that is okay with it simply because I am a comic book reader. I'm okay with the Red Sun existing simply because it's not the Superman I love. It's not him. It's a variant of him.
Yeah.
I'm okay with Gotham by Gaslight. I actually really love that. And then the animated movie they made, oh my gosh, just beautiful. Loved every minute of it. And I actually like it when they try to do the twist, especially on a character that was being written during the 80s, although I think at the time not very prevalently, unless it was being done by Frank Miller.
Oh, like The Dark Knight Returns or something like that.
Because I know for the longest time, this sounds odd to us, but they had tried to keep Joker, like he was too crazy of a character. They tried to keep him in a box because they, for the longest time, didn't know what to do with him. And then they had that The Man Who Laughs, which is just a straight up, like, who came up with this? Like, he wants to come up with a trademark of a fish with the Joker smile on it, and he gets shot down for a patent on that, and he loses his mind, and he declares war on the city. It's like,
wasn't there a and then there's like an animated series episode where they do there's fish caught with big smiles.
Yeah.
Like I think it's like paying homage to that.
Yeah, but he was such a crazy character, they didn't know what to do with him.
When was like The Long Halloween and some of those kind of classics? Or what's the real famous one where Barbara Gordon gets paralyzed?
Oh, Killing Joke.
Yeah, like the Killing Joke. When were those?
Killing Joke was 80s, and
so those would have been happening in there too.
Long Halloween was 90s.
Okay.
But yeah, it was kind of a crazy time. So I really don't know what to think about I have no idea what they're trying to do with him, the Joker, simply because
in the Joaquin Phoenix movie.
So
let's get into that. Like, how do you feel about? So we saw they kind of did some initial kind of test footage of him in the makeup, and as far as we can tell by photos they've released, this is kind of what his makeup's going to be. What's going on there?
I don't know. I think they're planning on skipping the whole, he was kind of psychotic in the beginning, fell into a vat of chemicals, just kind of further went down the rabbit hole.
Do you think, this is what I'm trying to figure out here, is maybe they're going to make it purely psychological and there's not going to be any deformity? But I wonder if that is partially Scorsese inspired too, where he likes to do like these psychological studies, but keep it kind of grounded a little bit more, where it's not like he's all wacky now because he fell into acid, or something, or.
Yeah, I think that is what they're going for. And the problem with that is, you got Heath Ledger's performance that is going to be compared.
Yeah, kind of. For better or worse, it defined that character.
Oh yeah,
for the modern, especially movie era, the movie Jokers and things like that. Yeah, I think too. It's just kind of it. Todd Phillips is directing this movie too, which I find really fascinating. This would be the director behind The Three Hangovers, Old School, Starsky and Hutch. School for Scoundrels with Billy Bob Thornton. I'm trying to think, what else has he done? He's done a few others in there.
Didn't he do Old School?
Yeah, I mentioned that one.
Oh,
that
right.
That was kind of the one that put him on the map. Road Trip, I think, was maybe before.
Oh, yeah.
Did he do Road Trip? I don't. He started out doing all these like ridiculous like comedies, and that's kind of what he's always been known for. And I'm trying to. I should have looked at his filmography, I guess, but it's like, has he done any other like more serious work?
I really feel like he hasn't.
Not that has been like,
you kind of throwing his filmography out there like worries me even more, because School for Scoundrels. Oh my god.
Oh, he did War Dogs with Jonah Hill and Miles Teller, which was like drama and comedy.
Yeah, that was okay. I mean,
Due Date was Galifianakis and Downey. I mean, there's some rough ones in there.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what would make a guy like this think he could handle a movie that allegedly is going to contain a lot of. This is still allegedly. We're all still speculating. Is going to contain a lot of violence and/or gunplay. Like, I don't know. Maybe the guy is like the male version of Patty Jenkins, though, where you find out when the movie comes out, it's really good at coming up with these great fight scenes and filming them.
Yeah, because I mean, if you want to be fair, before the Russo brothers did the two Captain Americas and Avengers Infinity War, parts 1 and 2, they were all comedy and even TV comedy. And so, I mean, it's not like this necessarily means it's going to be terrible. It just, more of what I'm getting at too is that his movies are all over the map. Because even if you want to look at, they're all like they're all in the vein of comedy, but it's a lot of garbage. You know, it's like that's what worries me more, is that it's a lot of not good movies.
I think his entire filmography could be filmed up by 3 movies: The Hangover 1, Hangover 2, Hangover 3. One of them was legitly good, and people loved it. People still love it. Second one was pure just garbage. Why do we need this? Why was it made? And obviously the answer to that is for money.
Yeah, right, exactly.
And the third one, basically to kind of redeem the second one. And even though it was okay, everyone was like, "Oh well, these movies turned out not to be so bad." Overall, these movies are not bad. It's not like the Terminator franchise where you have 2 good movies and the rest are mostly considered garbage. I'm not going to say they are, because I actually enjoy quite a bit of them. But
no.
Yeah.
And then as far as Scorsese goes, more recently there's been talk. Well, Robert De Niro is in this movie, we know.
Yeah.
And there's also been talk that this movie is going to be comparable to King of Comedy, one of Scorsese's random movies about a man named Rupert Pupkin, is it Pupkin?
Pupkin, yeah.
Who's determined to be a stand-up comic that's on a Johnny Carson type show, but it's Jerry Lewis plays that person in the movie, and there's just certain things falling into place where it's like, huh. Oh, and I forgot to mention this. Todd Phillips also did the screenplay for this movie. And so all these things are coming together because I think he also wrote like The Hangover, Old School, blah, blah, blah. I think he writes a lot of the movies he directs, which isn't always, it's good when you have a writer director sometimes, because then you get that singular vision that they have, and they still have the other people who come in that help them make it all come together. But yeah. And then who's De Niro supposed to? Do we know who De Niro is?
No, it's being kept under wraps. From what I've heard, and it's just people, kind of talking, and the problem is you don't know who's actually involved in the movie and not. Supposedly he's going to be playing kind of like a mentor. I know Alec Baldwin was supposed to be playing Thomas Wayne. He dropped out though. And then that right there opens up a whole other bag of questions. Like, if you're going to have Thomas Wayne in this movie, why would you cast somebody kind of on the older side? Because that would kind of have to imply like Bruce Wayne must be kicking around, unless he's, geriatric before he has him. And Zazie Beetz, who was recently Domino in Deadpool, has a role that nobody knows who she's supposed to be. a lot of people are saying, oh, it's going to be this universe's version of Harley Quinn, which also I hope isn't true.
They're calling her Sophie Dumond or Dumond.
Dumond?
Yeah.
Okay.
And does this mean anything? Should this mean anything to us, Dakota, that the Joaquin Phoenix's Joker's name is Arthur Fleck?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that's...
I just didn't know if there was some weird thing I was missing, like, in the comics, Arthur Fleck was someone, or...
Yeah, this whole story just kind of seems like it was generated, like, basically from the ground up by Todd Phillips. So...
Maybe taking certain ideas he liked from Joker mythology, and...
Yeah, so... It's going to be a slippery slope, man.
Yeah, it's interesting, because I think if there's one thing the DC branch of Warner Brothers has shown us is that they're all over the map.
Yeah.
I mean, this is the branch of Warner Brothers that's given us everything from the very beloved Michael Keaton Batman movie, the Dark Knight trilogy, all the way to the mess we saw last year in the Justice League, and then just kind of everything in between, like Wonder Woman and, ones that were like well-regarded, ones that were just kind of in the midst of all these messes. And so who knows where this one's going to end up. But I would just say, with the pieces we have right now, I am not excited. That's my hot take. Not excited.
Oh, man. I am concerned.
It's just, there's nothing about this that excites me. I feel like we've had other good Jokers in the past that have given us interesting storylines. Do I need him to have this? This just reminds me of like the Solo movie or something, where it's like, this is a beloved character, but do we really need this? I mean, people I'm sure have been asking for it, but people were asking for a Solo movie too. It doesn't mean it was a good idea. A good idea. I don't know.
You know what would be crazy?
An egghead origin movie.
No, that would be too perfect.
Yeah.
That'd be too perfect, especially if they got Michael Cera to do it.
Oh, gal, can you imagine? Oh, wow.
Oh no, I keep thinking of why
that's what they need to do.
I keep thinking of why they would greenlight this movie in the first place.
Well, I think it's a mixture of things. I think now that they've decided, now that I think they're finally starting to get more comfortable in this MCU thing we were trying to do for ourselves isn't working out. We'll just kind of do whatever we want to do, because it feels like that's what they're just trying to do now. Like, we'll just kind of do whatever we want to do. If we want it to fit in to the timeline, we'll do that. And I think it's also just desperation. They're like, people like Joker. Do a joke. Todd Phillips has this really good script. Has a script, and Scorsese's on board. I would guess it's happening because they just feel like Joker is something everybody always seems to want in some capacity, and Scorsese's on board. I think those two things really help this to have happened.
It's going to be really awkward and embarrassing, though, right?
What?
If this movie actually comes out and it's good, and people love it, and no one's asking for Jared Leto's Joker back.
Well, and that's the other thing that's interesting is that, let's say this is good. What do they do? Because the Joker because that's the thing, is the Joker that's in their universe, because they keep saying this is a different timeline, it's its own thing, and then all of a sudden you have this Joker that's really well loved, and then the one that they have to use in all of their offshoot movies is like, ugh, get rid of this guy.
Because there's 3 movies that they have. They claim Warner Brothers is still claiming these are happening. The Joker and Harley Quinn movie.
That's supposedly still on the table.
A standalone Joker movie, and apparently they want to use him for the Batman movie that may or may not even have Ben Affleck in it anymore.
Yeah, and it was just announced that the script's done. But the script's done, but there may be a new Batman. So, but there also could be a new Superman. So that's the thing. That's why I think Warner Brothers just decided we want to keep making these, but our whole Justice League universe is up in arms. So let's just greenlight because in the scheme of things, this isn't costing them a lot of money.
Yeah,
they're making this. The budget for this movie is $55 million. That's a lot of money. We would be living a pretty good life if we had $55 million. But in the scheme of a movie like this, that's not much.
So what you're telling me is that it's a good time to try to get a Question movie made? I should start on the script tonight.
A Question movie?
Yeah, the Question. The guy with the blank face?
Oh, gal.
He had I think it was a Charger. He drove around at the Charger.
What if this is here's the big what if. What if this is the thing that actually worked for Warner Brothers? That people like these villain origin movies, and somehow those are what work. Like they just keep cranking out like these villain origins where there's no hero in them at all.
You know something? I would be so down for that.
Just like after this, there's just like I don't know, a Riddler or something. It's like
here's what would be the scary part of that. I feel like they'd get ahead of themselves again, and they'd greenlight the Mr. Freeze one, and cast Michael Bay as the director, or the Man Bat one, and they're like,
and that's the funny part is that you're right. This because. Honestly, isn't it weird how you could almost think that you could see that happening where this movie just explodes, big hit. So they just greenlight like 4 villain origin movies with just like Michael Bay-esque or Zack Snyder-esque directors, and it's like, have they not learned anything? And they're just throwing like $175 million at each of them. It's just like they're just doing everything wrong. Oh man!
And on the flip side of that, I really would like to see a Penguin movie. I know I'm getting.
Well, do you remember when X-Men was going to do this?
Yeah.
How they were going to do like when X-Men Origins Wolverine came out. The reason they called it X-Men Origins Wolverine was because there was going to be X-Men Origins Magneto, X-Men Origins. What was another one I talked? Gambit. I think Gambit's been on the table for about
Psylocke. Psylocke was going to be another one
because Gambit's been on the table for like 30 years.
And they had wanted to do a Storm one. She was the one they really wanted to do a woman-led one.
Yeah, it probably was Storm because Storm's been on the table a long time too to have a standalone, and that was the plan with those. And then I don't know. I think obviously it's mostly probably because X-Men Origins Wolverine just didn't go over well. But honestly, in a lot of ways, I was more interested in the X-Men Origins Magneto movie they were talking about doing because they were going to have Paul Bettany.
Yeah.
I think because they even had him like on board. And it's like, yeah, maybe because this is before Michael Fassbender was on people's radars.
Oh, yeah. This would have been or before I think even 300. So he wasn't even a thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he had a real small part in Band of Brothers in like 2001 where you don't even notice him until now.
Yeah.
And yeah, like 300. And so, I mean, yeah, Paul Bettany. And you're like, yeah, I could see him being a young Ian McKellen. This could work. And in some ways, I'm still like, they should have just still let that happen. And probably would have been more interesting than what they did with X-Men Origins Wolverine anyway.
Yeah, I got another idea.
What's that?
A Rob Zombie-directed Bane movie.
Oh, no, see, these are the things that are going to get greenlit. And they're going to give him $350 million for that, too. No, Rob Zombie Lobo.
Kevin Smith, the Scarecrow.
Oh, Kevin Smith.
It would be the most anticlimactic movie.
But Kevin Smith, being Kevin Smith, will do it for $20. It'll be the budget of the movie will be $20. Oh man. Yeah.
I would pay to see that. Just this guy who's like half the movie is just him, and his patients are driving him crazy, and he creates a drug to drive them crazy.
Oh man. Yeah, Kevin Smith's take. Yeah, would that be a one where he would decide to go serious, or would he keep it more humorous?
Depends on whether or not he wants to have Jay and Silent Bob in it. They could have cameos.
Yeah, Jay and Silent Bob. Oh my goodness, we are way off the rails at this point. But we do thank you for listening. What are your thoughts? This is weird. that they're doing this. I don't know, but they're doing it, and it's real. Because for a while, it just seemed like this was like the Channing Tatum Gambit movie, where it's like they'll just keep telling us it's going to get made, but it probably won't. But all of a sudden, here we have photos of them on set filming it. It's real.
It is.
And so, how do you? Yeah, tell us how you feel about it.
You know what? Sorry, I don't mean to
No,
interrupt
go
you.
ahead.
I cannot freaking believe this is getting made, and they have been trying for 2 years to get a good Flash script, and they've gone through probably about a dozen writers, 3 directors. They lost Billy Crudup, then he was back, and now he's like, well, if you guys take too long, I might just leave again.
Yeah, because he's so busy.
Yeah. Oh,
man.
It blows my mind. Warner Brothers, what's going on?
It's weird. It's weird. That's what I'm telling you. Randomly, this is gonna be the one that takes off.
Are they? Yeah, it's just,
I just want to have the irony of that. This be the one that just blows up.
You know what? If this does blow up, Mel Brooks is Clayface. That's what I want.
Mel Brooks is Clayface. Oh my gosh. Oh man.
Either him or Scarface in The Puppeteer. I want him to do one of those.
And now that Danny McBride has proven himself with Halloween, like Danny McBride could do Killer Croc or something.
There you go.
And he can star as Killer Croc. Oh man. Oh wow. But yeah, like I was saying, tell us what you think about these things in the comments on Facebook, where we'll throw up this episode, or on if you're listening on YouTube, wherever. Let us know what you think about this stuff, because, like you were saying, it's just crazy. This is real, and Warner Brothers' decision making is just always funny.
You know.
But yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna throw one last thing in there.
Oh boy, here we go.
Do you remember when we thought Ben Affleck cast as Batman was crazy? And
yeah.
Here we
well,
are.
I think why that was crazy was that Ben Affleck said yes.
Yeah.
It's like, man, he's gonna actually do this again. Ugh. Yeah.
But nobody batted an eye when Jesse Eisenberg was cast as Lex Luthor. And those both ended the opposite of how we thought.
Yeah, well, that always kind of made me wonder. I didn't know about that. But yeah. So thank you for listening to this episode. We appreciate it. And just follow us and like us on all those places. We're just the Dakota Boys Talk Movies in those places. So thanks again, and we'll catch you next time. This is Steven.
This is Dakota.
Adios.